we are awakened. Come and join our love, it's so right if you could feel.
Thank you for listening to the Awakened Radio Network at awakenedradio.net, where we invite you to join us for the Prosperity Game. You can win prizes. You can also discover the easy, quick, surefire ways to allow prosperity into your life experience. The Prosperity Games are ongoing on the Awakened Radio Network. Check out our front page, awakenedradio.net, for details on the Prosperity Game. You can win prizes by calling in, by being in our chat room. You can even win by leaving comments in our forum. We've got all manner of ways for you to join us to play the Prosperity Game, where we all win and live beautiful, wonderful, on-purpose lives. Join us for the Prosperity Games at awakenedradio.net.
Welcome to Simply Conversations. This show airs every Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 Central, 7 Mountain, and 6 Pacific. Each week we'll have a new conversation exploring the life of a person who began to listen to his or her heart. Join us as we open the door for these uplifting and courageous people. Whether they are young, old, or somewhere in between, their work has helped to transform their lives, and it ultimately helps to support, heal, and grow their communities. Listen to our discussion and be inspired as you hear about life-changing and transforming stories. Be part of our conversation. Feel free to take part in our chat room or on the phone. Ask questions and chat with our guests. This show is brought to you by simplyconversations.com. Hello everyone, it's August 25th, 2013. This is Rob Ragozzine, your host on Simply Conversations. Tonight, our guest will be Martine Joseph, and with that, we'll introduce Martine. Hello, Martine.
Hello, Rob. Thank you for inviting me.
Now, I've been reading your bio that you sent me, and you had said that you just recently released a new book on quotations, and I had some questions about that, just wondering how you might think that might help to inspire people to perhaps write their own book, perhaps become a blogger or an author, who knows?
Okay, well, the book is called 1001 Aha Moments, and it's filled with inspiration. These are quotations that have both brilliant moments in them and compassion, both of those. So there's a real pop, there's a real power to these moments. And what happened was, most of my life I had depression. I suffered from depression, and I would inspire myself with aha moments, either from quotations or poetry or spirituality. And so I decided this past spring to bring it all together and create my first book. And the moments are also Twitter ready. In other words, you can not only read the book for inspiration, but you can share this inspiration with others. And if you use Twitter, you can tweet any of them. They're within the 140 character limit. So yes, it's about inspiration, and it comes down to love and forgiveness, basically. I'm a student of A Course in Miracles. I like to share it with others as a very happy spirituality, one where you're forgiving others because the truth is that this is all an illusion. Not to get too technical, but we are just here to love and forgive others. And when we start to see heaven all around us, it appears all around us. Grace happens, and miracles happen when we release others from guilt. And I'm experiencing that in my own life after a long career of working at what I call paycheck jobs. I left 3.5 years ago, and I always wanted to write a book. I knew I would write a book. I didn't know how it would happen. And it turned out that just a week and a half ago, my first book was published on Amazon Kindle. So that in itself, I feel, is truly grace. And divine timing, Rob, is not always what we think it's going to be. Sometimes I'm tempted to doubt myself, and I think, oh, I wish I had published 10 years ago or even 20 years ago. The truth is that self-publishing and electronic publishing weren't around back then. This is actually the perfect time, and the divine brings these things forward in perfect time for us to participate in them.
Now, you had mentioned forgiveness, and that really sparks an interest in a lot of people. What does that actually mean for you?
Well, in A Course in Miracles, it's a very different view of forgiveness. The view is that we are here on earth, and it seems that we're here, right? That this is reality. The truth is that we're one with Source or God, whatever terminology you use, and we're dreaming that we're here. This is an experiment of separating from God. So by realizing that, and by realizing that we're all one, it's impossible for all this separation to occur because we're all one in God or Source. And when we realize that, it becomes easier and easier to love and forgive ourselves, to love and forgive others, up to including our parents, because our parents are our greatest teachers. Think about it. I mean, I know with my mother, I have a long history of, our relationship and forgiving each other. And once in a while, still, my mother will mirror to me just where I don't like myself or where I judge myself. She's a perfect mirror. So by my forgiving her, it's a way to just acknowledge the oneness. And it's a psychological kind of forgiveness when you forgive someone in this inward way, because the truth is they haven't really done anything to us. And we're not really a body, as the ego tells us. We're really part of God's mind. We all are. So through that love and forgiveness, we just begin to experience grace. And with me, one of the graces I enjoy is a greatly improved relationship with my mom.
Now, did you come to that just through forgiveness, or through your studies with Course in Miracles, or just overall in general?
Well, A Course in Miracles really will help you understand the nature of reality and why love and forgiveness is so important. So it's really the source for that kind of knowledge. There's another book, too, I highly recommend. It was life-changing for me, and it's called The Disappearance of the Universe. And that's by Gary Renard, and it all talks about A Course in Miracles in a very humorous way. It explores all the issues, and the fact that even the forgiveness of what seems to be happening around us, because remember, it's the ego's thought of separation, the bad things like pollution or political corruption. If we can even begin to forgive that, we start to see heaven all around us. It's happening for me, and if it can happen for me, it can certainly happen for anyone.
Did it happen for you as you were publishing your book?
It did, yes. There was something funny that happened. It was around August 7th, and I was just about to upload it to Skype, and I thought I would count the quotations because I wanted to make sure I had 1,001 quotations. It turned out I was over 200 quotations short. So after all my work, I had to scramble to find more quotations. And it seemed like a big problem. I felt a little bit angry. I felt some stress. And then I realized, for some reason, this is happening at the perfect time. And sure enough, it helped the book to become much, much better. The book was already inspiring and good, but what I did was I added a chapter, Success, Prosperity, and Gratitude. This is one of the most popular chapters in the book. I mean, everyone wants to know how to be successful and how does gratitude fit into that, and definitely how to open to prosperity. So the quotes I chose are from entrepreneurial people, like, for instance, Tony Robbins, as well as from spiritual people. What I did in my own mind, I was able to face an idea that I had, a mistaken idea, that spirituality and prosperity are separate, and you can't have both. It made me realize that they are one, and I could bring them together in this chapter and make the book more well-rounded and interesting to people. So, that was definitely a forgiveness process. Once I was able to relax and forgive and go with the flow, I was able to just transform how I saw the situation. And in other words, we don't really control the world, but we control our experience of the world. So that's what I did. I changed my viewpoint, forgave the whole situation, and worked with it. And definitely there's much more inspiration now in the book.
Sounds great. Did you have any problems? I know we talked about some of them when you came towards actually uploading it and getting it to actually be part of the Amazon format. That was a journey in and of itself.
It was, definitely. And it looks like formatting the book, if you ever want to upload a book to Amazon, they do have a guide to formatting. It's pretty complex, but in a nutshell, it's about simplicity and not using too many codes. But I've also learned that there are people who will format the book for you. So it's a journey, because for the next book, I will be looking for someone to help me with that. One of the moments of grace that I've experienced recently was last spring, when it was an aha moment where I realized I can't do it alone. I mean, I had left a paycheck job 3.5 years ago. It was a job where I was being bullied, actually. And the way I see it now was, it was tough love from the universe. And the universe was saying, Martine, it's time. It's time for you to write. It's time for you to leave this job. And I was just very nervous, because this was 2009, the economy was tanking. I thought, this is impossible. How could this possibly be happening? But I finally did it, and in early 2010, I walked away from the job and decided that I would write, and asked my family to help me financially. For a time, I was able to collect some unemployment. But what happened in the spring was, 3.5 years had gone by, and I thought, I need help. I can't do this alone. So I found a mastermind group and a coach. The coach's name is Jodi Chapman, Jodi Chapman. She's on Facebook. And I joined the group. And with the help of others, I was able to get organized, get my ideas in order, really work on self-worth and self-love. And I do mirror work. I actually look in the mirror and say, Martine, I love you, inner critic, I got this. And it's surprisingly hard to do the mirror work in the beginning. Because, I mean, you're looking yourself right in the eyes and saying, I love you. And now it's a lot easier. That was all part of the process. And so the idea for aha moments came because I had used them so often throughout my life to inspire myself. I became almost an expert in cheering myself up and also cheering my mother up because the depression runs in the family. So that's how it happened. So that was one of my aha moments. And then on June 22nd, the depression was gone, the lifelong depression. So I'm just moving forward with it. I feel like any kind of healing is grace. I can't say exactly, oh, well, you know, I did this or I did that. I do believe, though, and many of the teachers are saying, including Gary Renard and Marianne Williamson, are saying that when you practice love and forgiveness, grace and miracles happen. They happen to you. They can also happen to the people you're forgiving because it's a release in your mind and just a recognition that we're all one. So I hope that makes sense.
Makes sense to me. I'm sure you're very clear to the listeners. Now, you were saying when we spoke earlier, I believe, that you act strongly on your intuition. Would you say that's a big guiding force for you?
It is, and another aha moment was in my 20s. I was in New York, and I met with a career coach, and he gave me the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator. It's a test that measures your personality, and I turned out to be an INTJ, which is the introverted intuitive with thinking and judgment. It's one of the most intuitive types. So for me, I use intuition naturally, just in going through life. And what I also do is I balance my intuition with my mind. In other words, I hear the voice of my heart, and intuition is known as the voice of the soul, as you know. So I listen to the heart and soul, and I balance that with my mind, too. So, example, when I was leaving the job, you know, my mind was chattering, oh, are you sure you want to do this? This isn't a good idea. But my health was actually being affected, and my heart was saying, I want to go. I really am ready to go. And I'm going to take this leap. I have no idea, but Holy Spirit, I have faith in you that this is going to work out. And it actually has worked out.
Now, you've reached out to a lot of people for help. Do you feel that that's helped you to become part of a larger and growing community?
Definitely. I mean, through the years, I've studied with different spiritual teachers, and Sandra Ray was an important teacher. She's known as the mother of rebirthing, and I actually was rebirthed, I think, a few dozen times in New York City. It's a conscious, connected breathing process, a healing process that is very much a part of the Course in Miracles because it's about the forgiveness, too. And so I studied with Sandra, and then when I moved out to Santa Fe, I stayed there for about 4 years. I studied with Leslie Temple Thurston, who's a teacher of enlightenment and a teacher of spirituality and meditation, and also with Beth Hinn, who is a mystical teacher in a past life. She was known as Sri Sarada Devi, and she was the wife of Ramakrishna, and so she gave me some insights into some past lives, and basically it was just a wonderful experience of exploration. So those were some important teachers to me, and then more recently I was invited to be part of one of the authors of a book, and I get together on the phone with the other authors once a week, and the book is called Harmonic Voices, True Stories of Women on the Path to Peace. So what's happening with that is I've connected with a broader community. I'm someone who's in solitude a lot, so it's really very helpful not only to connect with others, but to connect with others' heart and soul, and to connect with people that have, similar spiritual viewpoints, have a quality of heart, where compassion is being practiced. And on the phone calls with the authors, what happens is there's a real true listening to one another. It's not judgmental, and there's a real authentic sharing. So the sharing can be either stories, sometimes there are tears, sometimes there's laughter, and sometimes there are periods of silence that are very beautiful. And it helps me to realize that, I'm inspired by these other women. I can perhaps inspire them. And we're all experiencing miracles and grace in different ways in our lives. The other thing that I am just realizing is that A Course in Miracles is a very happy kind of spirituality. It's being a happy learner. Once you get past certain lessons, such as, well, this is all an illusion, you can begin to actually enjoy being here. Just take it for what it is and share the love and start enjoying the blessings. So it's another forum for me to share about the Course and the happiness and joy that people can enjoy.
I think that really connects us back to what you were talking about earlier, which is having a humorous perspective and really practicing that in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us more about that?
Well, what I did growing up was I always told my mother funny stories, and I would do my best to cheer her up out of her depression. So it became a habit that I would look at life in a funny kind of quirky way. I would share these stories with Mom, and I would get her to smile and laugh. And I noticed through the years that when I talk with people, they end up laughing a lot. And it's finally occurred to me that bringing that humor forward it's just another way of healing. And it's a way to live your spirituality in a very empowered way, because if you can look at your story in life, whatever it's been, from kind of a meta level, a higher level, and one of those levels is look at your story and now look at it as a kind of comedy, as if you're watching a movie of someone else's life. And if you look at it that way, your story becomes very empowering. You can see how these challenges have a funny side to them as well as a painful side, and how you can emerge from it all and even find reasons to smile and help others, inspire others to smile too. So there's a chapter in 1001 Aha Moments about joy and celebration. That's been included.
Now, we have about a short time until break, about 5 minutes. So we can use some of this time to share some of your links, if you have some, to websites, about your books, to things of that, to work that you're doing. Do you have anything to share?
Sure. Well, the website where you can read the blog, which is very entertaining, and I share the latest spiritual insights and techniques, including A Course in Miracles and going out in nature and many other things. So that's martinejoseph.com, MARTINE Joseph.com. And then on Facebook, if you search for Martine Joseph, you'll find my page. I'm very open to friend requests, and you can also click on the link for my fan page, Way of the Visionary, where you will find more spirituality. And right now the book is on Amazon.com. If you go to Amazon, just search for 1001 Aha Moments, and it'll bring up the page for you. And I have other projects in the works, Rob. They're in process, but I'm looking at doing a series of videos, possibly even interviews. So I will let you know when that's ready. And certainly on my website, martinejoseph.com, you'll be able to see the latest offerings I have.
Now, what about I might have missed this, but I think you were talking about the women healing.
Oh, harmonic voices?
Yes, is that a process that's in the works?
That is, and to learn more about that, that's a project under Heal My Voice. So on Facebook, you can look for Heal My Voice, and that's Andrea Hyland and others are involved in that. There have been a series of books. They're very, very powerful and inspiring stories by women who are emerging in their lives. The theme of this coming book is peace, and that's finding inner peace as well as experiencing peace in your outer life. And they have other books too, so definitely check that out.
And will you have a site specifically set up for your aha moments?
That's martinejoseph.com.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's.
But you won't have a Facebook page or a web page for that?
Well, actually, I'm trying to change the name from Way of Visionary to Martine Joseph Aha Moments, and apparently it's a process with Facebook. So
yes.
that I'm trying to get that name changed. But if you just look for Martine Joseph, you'll find my personal page and the links to any other pages and websites.
Okay. Now, when we get back, we'll be able to ask Martine some questions. The number to call when we do get back will be 334-649-7204, or add Awakened Radio to your Skype, or just click on awakenedradio.net and join us in the chat room by clicking on the live chat tab. And if you have any questions for Martine, please do join us in the chat room, and I'm sure she'd love to hear from you. And we'll be back.
Awakened Radio was brought to you by our listeners. Those of you who enjoy our wide range of topics and our wide range of listenership. We really do cover the globe with thought and geographic location. Thank you so much for taking part, for coming over and joining us in our chat room, and for clicking that donate button while you're there. We appreciate your contributions. They are what has helped us to grow and will help us to grow even more. While you're at our website, please visit our Awaken store. Take part in our forum conversations. Check out all of the pages at awakenradio.net. Get to know us. You'll like us. We're really a friendly bunch. Thank you for helping make Awakened Radio awesome.
Welcome to Simply Conversations. This show airs every Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 Central, 7 Mountain, and 6 Pacific. Each week we'll have a new conversation exploring the life of a person who began to listen to his or her heart. Join us as we open the door for these uplifting and courageous people. Whether they're young, old, or somewhere in between, their work has helped to transform their lives and ultimately helps to support, heal, and grow their communities. Listen to our discussion and be inspired as you hear about life-changing and transforming stories. Be part of our conversation. Feel free to take part in our chat room or on the phone. Ask questions and chat with our guests. This show is brought to you by simplyconversations.com. And we're back. And once again, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, if you have any questions from our team, please do call in through Skype by adding Awakened Radio to Skype, or call 334-649-7204, or join us in the chat room here at awakenedradio.net. And if you come to awakenedradio.net, just click on the live chat tab, and you'll be able to type questions right into the chat room. Now, Martine, we were talking about your books before, but I was wondering, obviously you had the inspiration to leave a job that was unsatisfying, but what really inspired you to write the books? What's keeping you motivated to bring forth this creativity?
Well, what was always true of me is there's a drive for expression. So I always loved writing and knew I would write books someday. And so what I did was simply write all sorts of things through the years. So whatever job I would be at, I would write maybe business proposals or reports or letters, and I would ask Source, well, gosh, you've given me a gift for writing. What should I do? And Source kept saying, do only that, which is do what's in front of you. So when I did leave the job, I started writing something. I'm pretty passionate about movies, so I wrote movie reviews for quite a while. And I wrote about spiritual movies, dramas, but they always had to have human interest. And for some reason, I was writing, and not many people were tuning in to the website I had. And I wanted to do more. It wasn't until this past spring that I started to write a blog where I could share personal stories, and that was much more interesting to me, but apparently people love human interest stories. So I shared about my experiences and still do that today. And so it's the drive for self-expression, but also the drive to share about the spiritual things I've learned, about love and forgiveness, about A Course in Miracles, and also to share the adventure of life. And Sometimes there are funny stories. There is the latest blog post right now, I believe it's called Girl Thwarts Pickpocket, and it is a true story from my New York City days, and it's also an example of the kinds of things we can do as a miracle worker, just going around in the world and sharing our love.
Now, one question that I haven't asked that I usually like to ask in the beginning is remembering a particular conversation that really inspired you to believe in yourself. Can you remember anyone or any conversation that really inspired this within you?
Yeah. I remember my 5th grade English teacher, Mrs. Conway was her name, and she is the first person who told me that I was a writer, that I had a gift. And I remember writing all kinds of assignments for her, but there was one assignment where we put together a book of poetry, and we could not only we wrote poems, but we also put in cut-out magazine pictures, and we illustrated our little books. One of my poems was about an elderly Italian woman who lived next door to us. And she was maybe in her 80s and didn't get out very much, but she would sit in the kitchen window. She wore all black. Apparently she had lost her husband, and she would sit in the kitchen window and look at us. We were kids, and at the time we were shoveling snow and goofing off on the driveway and having fun. And this Italian lady, this grandmother, sat there, you know, in her black dress and her gold earrings, and she didn't look sad. She just observed us. And I wrote a poem about this. And Mrs. Conway, she gave me a great, she gave me an A, and on that page, she wrote the word profound. Now, I was in 5th grade. I had no idea what the word profound meant. So I had to rush home, look in the dictionary, and I found out it's about deep meaning, the deeper meanings behind the appearance. So, yeah, Mrs. Conway really inspired me greatly. It just was one of those turning points in life. You know, the other turning point was meeting with my career coach in New York City and having him explain to me, well, this is what an INTJ is, an introverted intuitive, and here are your gifts that you can give to the world. And, you know, there are books about the Myers-Briggs that really explain all the personality types, but it was a huge eye-opening conversation where I realized I do have something to give, and I do have gifts, and being who I am is a wonderful thing.
That's awesome. That's an awesome recognition. So your teacher was definitely an early mentor. Do you have any memories of other mentors?
Well, let's see. Right now, one of my mentors is Beth Terrence. She is involved in the Harmonic Voices project, and she's actually a shaman and a healer. And I've worked with her personally on doing some inner child healing work. So she's very inspiring. She's overcome things in her life, and actually Beth Terrence's chapter in the book Inspired Voices tells you her story. And she overcame having a mom who was mentally ill, and then some substance abuse issues. So she's someone who just expresses so beautifully in her blog, which is called Heart of Awakening. And her truth and her spirituality is about that mindfulness, presence, and compassion. There's a great quote, no mud, no lotus. And our lives really are challenging, and yet they make us beautiful. I think that is an example of that. So let's see, there's Beth Terrence, and also there's a Chinese herbalist I just met with last week. She's here in Connecticut, Lisa Huebner, Huebner, and she is tremendously skilled in Chinese herbs. She has studied in China as well as extensively elsewhere. And for the past 3.5 years, I switched to using the Chinese herbs to assist with the depression symptoms. So that was pretty tremendous for me. So she inspires me because she's out there as a healer and sponsoring events, and you know, these are women who are out there doing their work in the world of healing and reaching the right people and thriving financially. So I find all that tremendously inspiring. And I was just listening prior to the show tonight to some of Simply Conversations, and by the way, Rob, congratulations on your new show. It's just so tremendous. I think that you're probably going to be one of my mentors because you are reaching out to people all over the country with your intuition, with your spirituality. It's obvious that you have done many years of work on yourself and experienced a great deal, and it's just interesting to hear how people are changing their lives. So it's a great show and a great venue, and you bring this very wise, intuitive presence to it. So thank you.
Well, thank you very much. You're number 4. You're guest number 4.
Number 4.
I was just thinking about helping other people, as you're mentioning, being helped by other people. What advice might you give people who experienced similar depression to your own and had similar experiences? How can they begin to heal?
I would always say that your first step with depression, find a good therapist and who is certified medically, and definitely find a therapist that you can speak with, that you're comfortable with and that you like. In other words, if you like spirituality, make sure you find a therapist. There's a wide variety of therapists who treat depression who are interested in spirituality. So make sure you can connect with that therapist, and make sure to get that medical evaluation. And once you've done that, I would recommend, there are so many things you can do. I would recommend learn to inspire yourself with aha moments wherever you find them, your favorite books or movies. I would also strongly suggest that you do not watch TV. This is very important. If you watch TV, be very selective. Please do not watch the news, whether it's local or network. The news stations are corporate owned, and they are sharing fear and disempowerment. They are also not telling us the truth of what's going on today. There's a huge renaissance of spirituality, of personal growth and spiritual growth, and a huge renaissance in our economy. Self-publishing is part of that. So tune in, for example, to Awakened Radio or Simply Conversations. There's NPR radio. There are all kinds of positive news sources. Find them on the internet, on your computer. Rely on them. Or if you're on Facebook, connect with positive people. Now, this may sound simplistic or cliche, but it really works. And finally, most importantly, is practice the love and forgiveness. Check out A Course in Miracles. Practice love and forgiveness in your life while you're taking care of depression medically in any way you need to with a therapist. And as you do that, you are going to help heal your mind. And I would say all those things are important. I also, for myself, am always focusing on a healthy diet, so I would suggest that you try out some of the vegan eating. I do eat meat myself, but much less than I used to. And when you do eat meat, try to get like the grass-fed beef or the free-range chicken, or the meat that's as consciously raised as possible. And then when you eat in a healthy way and stay away from GMO products, genetically modified products, and also sugars and wheat and dairy. Dairy is a big one. Educate yourself on that. There's a movie, Hungry for Change, that's excellent. It will explain to you why it's important and empowering for your health to eat more of a whole foods vegetable diet. No one's saying that you have to give up meat, but shifting your diet in this way will really help you with depression. And also exercise is important. Exercising, they say, 30 minutes a day. Just a gentle walk. It doesn't have to be too strenuous. It will really make a difference in your life, in your state of mind. So all those things together can help. And certainly tune in to my website, martinejoseph.com. The blog is very informative about love and forgiveness. There's a story in there about how the depression vanished suddenly, and just stay inspired in any way you can. I mean, you're going to find all kinds of books and websites, and certainly your therapist can refer you to certain books and websites as well. So all those things together should help you know that you're not alone. You're part of God's mind.
We have some questions from the chat room. One of them is, my question is, how do I let go of inner childhood fears and beliefs?
Okay, well, that would be a process of, okay, I have two suggestions.
Well, I think it's really a lifelong process almost.
It could be, yeah.
To learn. Well, go ahead.
Okay, I have two suggestions. One is, there's a book by Leslie Temple Thurston. It's called The Marriage of Spirit. And if you go to their website, corelight.org, corelight.org, I think they have the free chapter. It's called Squares. And it's a process of taking your belief and really analyzing it your attraction to it, and your repulsion to it. So use the squares process from the Marriage of Spirit book. And also, I want to recommend to you, and I am doing this myself right now, there's a website, recreateyourlife.com. This is very important, recreateyourlife.com. It's a psychotherapist who is sharing the LEFKO method, Lefkoe. There are, and it's a video. There are 3 free videos. In each video, you can take a negative belief you have from yourself from childhood and remove the belief from your mind. So the one I did was, there's something wrong with me. Think about it, that's a very widespread belief that we have. And so that was the first one I chose, and it's a half-hour video, and Morty Lefko takes you through the process. He helps you realize very deeply that in childhood we form our beliefs. Our parents may have said certain things, they may have been impatient with us, but it is possible to see all kinds of interpretations for what they said. And the child who thinks in kind of a black or white, right or wrong, the child starts to form the belief. But in actuality, it's not true at all, and it wasn't even what the parents meant to be saying to us. In one interpretation, the parents may have been impatient or had a lot to do that day. In another interpretation, the parents may have expected too much of you. After all, you were only 5 years old, and they expected you to act like a 12-year-old, you know. So, okay, the website, recreateyourlife.com. So, absolutely super process for taking apart those childhood beliefs.
Now we have another question that's, what advice would you give someone who has a dream, I guess a dream or a goal or a vision that they want to create something? I guess the same advice almost, letting go of what's holding you back.
That's true. I would also say if you have a dream or goal or a vision, be sure to find a group you can work with, you know, whether you're a writer, a coach, a minister, whatever your goal is. Find a group of like-minded folks who are doing what you're doing. And, you know, you may have to try a few groups before you find the right one. And make sure to get the support of others. Doing it by yourself is not as effective, and there's no reason to spend years spinning your wheels. I would also suggest to find a coach who can guide you. And again, if you look on Facebook or on the web, you can find many coaches. There's a group on Facebook, it's called Authentic Connecting. Look for that group. And in that group is filled with coaches. And find a coach that you'd like to work with and see if you can do at least 1 or 2 sessions. Bring to the table anything that's blocking you and see how they can help you. It's just wonderful to get the input of others on your journey.
So don't try to go it alone, try to find help.
Yeah.
And I guess what you've been talking about all night is really connecting with your heart in the work that you do. Connect with your passion.
Yes. I was told when I first started working with Jody and Dan, 2 coaches, that if you're doing something and you don't feel passionate about it, like for instance, I was writing movie reviews and I wasn't feeling enthusiastic anymore. They told me that this is a sign that it's time to change your goal. It's time to do something different or write something different. And when you feel passion about your goal, then that passion will carry you, because there are always challenges. There are always going to be difficulties. Like I faced the difficulties when I was uploading my book. But if you really love what you're doing and you love the book you're creating, that passion will say, that's all right, I'm going to go through this, and I'm going to do this, and I can't wait for people to read this. And so it does. The heart and the passion carry you through. So what my coaches do is, they not only listen to me talk about my goals, they listen to my tone of voice, and they can tell right away. You know, when I've learned to do this for myself and others, you know, you can say, oh, well, you're saying this, but you don't sound very enthusiastic. What's going on? So yes, it's a deeper form of self-inquiry.
Now, we only have 4 minutes left. I wish we had longer, but I guess you can share your links again to your Facebook and other sites.
Sure. So the website is martinejoseph.com, and there you can find the blog with funny stories and spirituality and A Course in Miracles. If you click on the free email link, you can get a free chapter. It's the Success, Prosperity, and Gratitude chapter from 1001 Aha Moments. And then if you want to buy the book on Amazon, just go to Amazon.com and search for 1001 Aha Moments, and it will take you to the book page. And then on Facebook, just search for Martine Joseph, and you can, I'm very open to friend requests, and if you want to click on the link for Way of the Visionary, that is more of the aha moments can be found there. And I just want to thank you again, Rob, for the wonderful show and for inviting me. This has been my very first radio interview.
Well, 1,000 claps for you. Thank you for coming on.
Okay.
Well, thanks to Martine Joseph for coming on tonight. If you enjoyed her show or any of our other shows today or in the past week, and you feel so inclined to make a donation to Awakened Radio, you can come to awakenradio.net and click on the donate button at the top of all the screens. And we're here for no cost to you, so please find it in your heart to click that button. And it could be $1, it could be $5, whatever it is. We're not asking for your grocery money, so whatever's in your heart. And we also released this month Thrive Magazine, which is a double issue. So that's articles, art, and poetry from Awakened Radio community members, anyone who published a spirituality story or had art or poetry. It's published in there, and you can publish for September. I guess the deadline is September 10th. So if you feel like you'd like to have your article shared and linked to your website, then share that with Thrive Magazine. Just come to Awakened Radio and click on the Thrive Magazine link. And if you'd like to sponsor this show or any other shows, please provide us with a 30-second script, and it'll be part of a particular show of your choice. And when the after the show is played, it'll be archived to iTunes and TalkShoe, so it can be part of that. Thank you for joining us tonight. I hope you enjoyed the show. Stay tuned next week, same time, 9 p.m. Eastern, for another show with a new guest. Thanks for joining us this week. Have a great week.
Cause we're awakened, you won't catch us sleeping through the fight in life. We're all eyes open, showing our inside and light so bright. We are awakened, come and join our love, it's so right. If you could feel what we feel now, you'd be a leader filled with might. Cause we're awakened.